This week on Australian Wine Weekly, we're at Colab and Bloom. Great story, a group of mates coming together to make some amazing wines. We're going to go on a little trip to Italy, Montepulciano, and we're also going to go to Spain. We're on the Emerging Varieties show. Let's see what the boys have got. Take us on a trip and let's taste their amazing wines. We're lucky enough to be in the picturesque McLaren Vale with the Emerging Variety series, and we happen to be here with Nick from Colab and Bloom. Welcome to the show, mate.
Mate, Nathan, great to be here. Really excited to show these wines to people. You know, we've been around for about 5 or 6 years now, a business partnership between a bunch of mates who've been in the wine industry for a long time. I think collective experience is getting up close to 100 years. And
100 years?
Yeah, well, Norm, my business partner, he's 76 years old, and he's been growing grapes here in McLaren Vale and up in the Adelaide Hills at his home vineyard for a long, long time. And my other business partner is Mike Farmerloy. So Mike was formerly the head of red winemaking at South Corp, which included making the Penfolds wines. Mike has done close to 50 vintages in his lifetime as well. So. Wow. I'm the young guy in the group.
You're the baby.
Yeah, so I've got about 25 years under my belt. And then there's Daniel Zazzolo, who's been making wine for over 20 years as well. So a bit of experience between us. Colab and Bloom is, I guess what it says, it's a collaboration between a group of friends, a group of different vineyard growers in different regions, really just trying to create something beautiful. We're about lunch wines. We like to have lunch together and share a pizza or a bowl of pasta or some tapas. These wines are meant to take customers, people on a journey.
So they can't travel at the moment?
No, you can't travel at the moment. So through Colab and Bloom, we can take you to France, to Spain, to Italy, and transport yourself to another place. These wines are designed to be fun, a little bit experimental, a little bit adventurous, above all, just to be drinkable.
Yeah, so made ready to drink?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I can't drop it any more hints, I don't think.
It's time, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Where are we going to start?
All right, so we'll start with the Montepulciano.
So we're travelling to Italy?
Yes, we are. Yeah. So Montepulciano, most commonly from Abruzzo near Rome.
Yeah.
But what's perhaps a little bit less known is it's the workhorse grape of Italy. So it actually grows in most regions.
What do you mean by workhorse?
Look, it's a variety that grows well in a lot of different regions. So warmer regions, cooler regions, you still get a good wine out of it. So, if you imagine your typical Italian family, they've got some grapes growing in the garden,
Yep.
They've got a couple of chickens, some turkeys in the backyard, they're growing their tomatoes, their zucchini, their eggplant, those sort of things. And they might grow some grapes in the backyard, and they might get a barrel and stomp the grapes themselves and bottle their own wine. Often as not, that's Montepulciano. So it grows in a lot of places, and it's not one of the considered to be one of the premium grapes of Italy in the same way as Nebbiolo or perhaps Sangiovese from Tuscany. What it does is make really smooth, slurpy, juicy, drinkable red wines, and that's why we like it.
And the climate's similar to here?
Look, I guess, when we're talking about, in this case, this is a Flurio wine. So this is a combination of vineyards. Some of this is from Langhorne Creek and some of it from here in McLaren Vale and out the back in Blewett Springs. So Flurio Peninsula, Mediterranean climate, absolutely.
Yeah.
Warm days, cool nights. We're sitting here perhaps less than, 5 or 6 kilometres from the ocean. You get those lovely maritime breezes coming in, cooling the vineyards down. So you get a little bit of slower ripening on this. So you get that ripe, sweet, red fruit character. And then there's some nice acidity to this wine as well.
The colour of it actually looks quite light compared to the other Montes I've had, the colour.
It's sweet, juicy fruit. I always see a little bit of spice, but more particularly with this wine, herbs.
Herbs?
So bay leaf, rosemary, thyme, those sort of green herbs.
Taste or on the nose?
That's on the taste.
Yeah.
Definitely. A little bit on the nose. I sort of see that bay leaf character.
It's very fruit forward.
It's very fruit forward. So it's what I call forest berries.
Forest? I might store that one. That's
so
a good one.
It's some red berries, some blackberries, blackberries, blackcurrant, but always with that edginess to it. There's just a little bit of a bite to this wine. And that's that sort of herbaceous character.
Cheers.
Cheers. So again, it's a lunch wine. You know, we're picking these grapes as early as we can. We want that ripe character, but we don't want them to be too hot or alcoholic or jammy. We want the wine to be beautifully balanced. You know, you can have a couple of glasses and then you can get on with your day.
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? You don't want to have a couple of glasses at lunchtime and then have to have a little siesta. We're not
Exactly.
lucky enough to have siestas, are we?
No.
I think we should really introduce it. But so very fruit forward, light, easy to drink.
Definitely.
That's why we're at lunchtime, obviously.
Yep.
But lingered quite long on the palate as well.
Yeah, it's got really good length. You know, I think the hallmark of this wine is how smooth it is.
Yeah.
It's light, but at the same time there's a richness to it, and it's just smooth and easy to drink. You know, we joke sometimes that, you know, there's certain wines we make that are what we call smashable.
Yep.
And smashable means you're onto the second bottle before you remember finishing the first one.
Yeah.
And they just go down easily. And I just think, you know, when we make a wine like this, it's so easy to drink. That's what we're aiming for. And
Yep.
you know, that's kind of the mantra behind this business and what we're trying to deliver to people.
So we're sampling the 2020?
Yep, this is 2020 Montepulciano, so really good vintage. It's been in bottle for about 12 months now, so the tannin and the acids have softened nicely.
Yep.
I think this wine's showing really well. We've been making Monty for a couple of vintages. I'd like to think you'd probably be able to age this for 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, that was
quite
my next
comfortably.
question. How long could you lay it down for?
Yeah, I think 5 to 8 years. There's certainly some, you know, there's plenty of fruit there. There's some acid and tannin structure providing a bit of framework to the wine, so it's not going to fall over. It should age quite nicely and get some nice complexity to it.
I think I'd have to buy a fair bit for it to last 8 years because it is a very drinkable wine now. So at year 8, we're opening a bottle 8 years later. What would the flavour profile, how would it differ?
How would it differ? It would be softer. I think some of those herbal characters will become a little bit more dominant as the primary fruit drops away. It's quite a savoury wine, I think, because of that herbal edge to it. It's, you know, in terms of food matching for me, anything with olive oil, garlic, olives, anchovies, tomatoes.
Oh, you're making me hungry.
Yep.
It is very fruit forward, but there's that slight touch of tannin there, isn't there?
There is. I like to think Monty has a little bit of grunt, a little bit of grip.
Explain grip to the layman.
It's that drying sensation on the palate. The tannin, you know, it gets your saliva glands going. It's mouth-watering. There's a bit of substance there.
It just makes you want to have that little bit more, doesn't it?
It does. And, you know, it's a really good wine with sharp cheeses. You know, to sit.
Okay, what sort of cheese?
Oh, Parmesan, obviously.
Parmesan?
Sit there with a nice sharp Parmesan, a Grana Padano. Sit there just slicing off little slivers at the end of your meal. Have a little sliver of a nice sharp bitey cheese and a glass of Montepulciano. They go really well together.
Well, that sounds great. So, food pairing wise, what's your favourite? Because I know you said it's one of your favourite wines.
Yep.
You and your wife love to
definitely
crack it open.
This is go to your local pizza house on a Friday night when you can't be bothered cooking. Get your favourite pizza. For me, that's loaded up with salami, olives, anchovies, all the good things.
Yep. So maybe an Italian.
Yep, that's it. Bring it home. For me, that's the Nino's special.
Nino's?
Nino's is in Victor Harbour.
Right, I'll give him a plate.
Nino's special. So, really great pizza. A big pizza, a bottle of this, some garlic bread, and you're in heaven. Right. You know, and this isn't complicated wine. It's not meant to be sophisticated. It's just meant to be about having a good time and enjoying it.
Lucky, because I couldn't help with the sophistication at all. But I'll
know.
tell you what, nice and simple, great tasting wine. And maybe you could go whip us up a pizza quickly and we could try some pizza with it.
Let's see what I can do.
Righto. So obviously we've got the perfect pairing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Montepulciano and pizza is as good as it gets.
So I think you're going to have some.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Some, don't hold me back.
Yeah, right, fair enough.
Well, I used to work as an accountant, believe it or not, and I had a midlife crisis when I was 35. So I quit my job in Sydney as a sales manager and went off to California and did a vintage and worked at a winery for about $7.50 an hour.
Which winery?
It was Napa Valley. The winery was called Rombauer.
Okay.
and worked with a bunch of great Mexican guys in the cellar in these unbelievable mile-long tunnels under the ground, full of barrels of incredible, $250, $300 a bottle Napa Cabernet.
Oh, yeah,
So, it was good. It was a good time in my life.
what an amazing pizza. Nino's Special, Victor
Yep.
Harbour, we'll just give him a little plug, yeah.
Yep.
Cracking pizza, perfect pairing. What did it change in the wine, do you think?
I think it accentuates the sweetness of the fruit, going back to those forest berries.
Yeah.
And then, you've got the sharpness of the olives, olive oil, anchovies. They're sort of accentuating the bitey tannins in the wine.
Yeah.
And then that lovely acidity on the finish. I
It's-
just think
An absolutely beautiful food wine, isn't it?
it is.
So it's easy enough to drink on its own,
Yeah.
but it really comes into its own with the right food pairing.
Absolutely. I think anything Italian, Daniel Zazzolo, good Italian boy,
Yeah.
and we're pretty particular about drinking the wine with the food of the place
Yeah, okay.
and sort of getting that sense. And the Flurio Peninsula's got really good olives. It's got some great cheeses.
Yeah.
Some great seafood and some good food in this part of the world. Whether you go Italian or not, but I think enjoy these wines with the food from the place that they come from.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get a really good match.
Awesome. What a great start. So I think I'll just have to quickly tuck into this pizza and have another glass of wine, and then we might crack onto wine too.
Let's go. Cheers.
All right. So what an amazing pizza that was.
And there's another one to go.
Oh,
It just gets better.
perfect. So wine two.
Yep, 1-2.
Where are we going on a trip to?
Okay, so this is the 2021 Adelaide Hills Tempranillo.
Adelaide Hills.
Yep. So from here, we're going to Spain.
Spain.
We're going to Spain. We're going to Rioja. We're going to Ribera del Duero, which the River of
Jesus.
Gold. Like
Jesus.
how
You
good
said-
does
you
it
said-
get?
You said that pretty well. And again?
Ribera del Duero.
Perfect.
The Spanish will probably complain about my pronunciation there.
That's all right.
So Portugal as well. So I think it's Tinta Roriz, and that's the Douro River. So the Douro Valley. So again, the Valley of Gold, the River of Gold, and
Cooler climates matching the Adelaide Hills, or
warmer climates. But because you're along the river, you get the cool air coming out of the river and up the very steep vineyards at the sides of the river. So Adelaide Hills, this particular vineyard, owned by a gentleman called David Blows. It's in Macclesfield, so it's in the back of the Adelaide Hills, almost heading down towards Langhorne Creek.
Yep.
So it's Adelaide Hills technically, it's not Flurio, but you're very, very close geographically. We've gone to this particular vineyard because it just produces beautiful fruit. So we're also picking Sangiovese from this vineyard. So what you're looking at here is again that sweet red fruit, a very savoury edge to this wine. So it's got quite firm tannins, crisp acidity. It's perhaps the more aggressive of the two wines, and it definitely needs a little bit of time in bottle for the acidity and the tannins to soften. Again, with Tempranillo, for me, red fruit, what I would perhaps call ironstone, sort of a ferrous oxide, almost tastes of blood. I know that's a little bit of a weird thing to say, but
not sure that's going to help sell it.
there's leather, there's dark plums, there's cherries, there's vanilla, and there's that sort of hot stone. You think of red stones in the sun, black stones in the sun.
What about on the nose?
Again, those hot stones, a little bit of leather.
It's very mineral, isn't it?
Yeah, it's extremely mineral, and you can't escape that. So if this one's all about herbs and leafy green things that grow in the forest,
Yeah.
this one's all about earth and hot stones and that sort of
It's
rock.
almost opposite ends of the spectrum.
They are opposite ends of the spectrum. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's no trees here. This is, a baking hot vineyard on the side of a river, red stones, ridiculously hot. The vines are struggling to survive in that hot climate.
Yeah.
And then we take that vine, we take that grape, we transplant it up to the Adelaide Hills. It's a little bit cooler.
So it gives it a chance to really thrive.
Yeah, it gives it a chance to thrive, but you can't escape those native characters of that grape.
All right. it's just so light.
So again, a lovely juicy wine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
The way you described it, I didn't expect to be so mouth-watering. Just took a little bit longer to kick in.
Yep.
Might have something to do with the pizza, but I just felt this real mouth-watering, delicious light, just wanted another sip straight away.
Yep.
But then as you started talking, it started coming through, so...
Yep. It's perhaps a little bit more elegant than the Montepulciano.
What about in the winery? Are they either of them difficult to make, or no?
Not really.
They're not set and forget though, are they?
No, they're not. One thing we're doing with these wines, they're predominantly in old oak barrels.
Yep.
We're not looking to give these wines a lot of oak influence.
So that's why they put them in an old oak, isn't it? So the oak doesn't come through.
Yeah, it's not dominating. There's a little bit of oak presence in these, but we're wanting the fruit to shine. We're looking for those native grape characters to shine through, what comes through from the vineyard.
Yeah. And pretty handy that you can go around and pick the best fruit, isn't it? Pick the vineyard that you want.
Yep. And that's, part of our business, and what's really at the heart of Colab and Bloom is that collaboration sense. So we're working with growers in a lot of different regions, a lot of different sub-regions, and we're able to source fruit that really shines and really showcases what that region does best. Obviously, we're looking at emerging varietals. They're the wines we love to drink, and they're the wines we want to share with people. So that's that sense of collaboration. We've kind of got the best of both worlds. We've got these great winemaking skills with Daniel and Mike and a lot of history of making good wines, but we've also got access to all these incredible growers, and they're just as much part of our business as we are.
Probably don't get mentioned enough.
No, they don't. They don't.
Because they do such a fantastic job of providing the fruit. I think one of the winemakers came on and said it's harder to make a chocolate cake than it is to make decent wine with the fruit that's been given to people these days.
That's it.
Not so sure that was true, but
no, I think that's true. Like growers are really important to us, and we want to provide them with a way to take their grapes to market. That's as much about providing them with a economic livelihood, which is important to support their families, as it is about them showcasing what they do.
Yeah.
These guys are passionate about their vineyards. They're growing these grapes in spectacular locations. They spend a whole year bringing these vines to perfection and getting the grapes ready for us. And then it's our job to take those grapes and turn them into something magical in the bottle and in the glass, and then share that with the consumer. And that's a huge part of what we love doing.
Yeah. And you can tell just by the way you're talking about the pride that you've got in them, and obviously making the styles that you love helps as well. But I think what's also happening is, and especially all around Australia, is people and growers are starting to find the varietals that actually fit the climate perfectly, aren't they?
Yep.
And it's just making such a difference. Like the Riverland's a great example. Once upon a time it was just bulk wine, and it was whatever sold and however much they could produce. But all of a sudden, up there, everything's changing.
That's it.
And they're bringing the right varietals in for the right climate, same as here.
Yep.
So I think that, and we're only young, aren't we? Australian wine.
And the fun thing is we're not constrained by any rules or regulations in terms of growing grapes, different varietals in different regions. Totally okay, do what you want to do.
Yep.
And also in terms of the winemaking. So for us, we're all guys that have been in the wine industry a long time. We've made our fair share of Shiraz and Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay. That's not to say that we don't love those wines and we still make them, but this is where we get to have a little bit of a play around Montepulciano, Tempranillo, Sangiovese, Neravla. I can't travel right now. I can go to all of those places through these wines.
Well, I feel like we are. I feel like we're travelling now.
You get to have a little bit of experimentation. You get to explore. These wines are quite fascinating. They're unique and they're different. They're certainly easy to drink. They're great food wines.
Great food wine. I was getting a little bit hungry again.
Time for pizza.
So what sort of pizza are we pairing with this wine?
This is the zucca, so vegetarian, so pumpkin, capsicum, feta cheese, pine nuts. And a perfect match for Tempranillo.
A perfect match.
Yep.
So whilst I tuck into it, I'll get you to run the punters through where social media. Are you prevalent on that? Where can they buy your wines from?
Yep.
And then slide in the special that everyone's waiting for.
Absolutely.
So I might be able to eat two pieces while you do that.
So in terms of social media, we've got an Instagram account, so it's Colab and Bloom. and we're very active on there talking about the wines, and particularly we love to share the reviews we get from the critics, the third-party accolades. A lot of our wines have won gold medals and got some lovely reviews from some of the wine writers, so we like to share those on there. Both the Montepulciano and the Tempranillo are ranged nationally in Dan Murphy's. They're also about to be rolled out in BWS stores all around the country, so we're very excited about that. They'll be available.
Congratulations.
Thank you. They'll be available in almost every suburb in Australia before the end of May. So that's extremely exciting for us. You know, what those guys give us is the ability to share those wines with the people of Australia, and that's what gets us excited.
And if they wanted to go direct to you guys?
Yep. So our website is fielddaywineco.com. And we've created a special discount code for Australian Wine Weekly, and that's AWW25, and that'll give you 25% off on a 6-pack and free shipping to anywhere in Australia.
Well, that's an awesome deal. Great work, because people have got to try these wines.
They do.
They're amazing, and once they have a couple of these, I think they're going to go on a bit of the Sangiovese, and the rosé looked pretty interesting as well.
Yep, so that's Tempranillo Grenache blend. You talked about the Riverland before. In fact, those grapes do actually come from the Riverland.
Awesome. So food-wise, Cece said vegetarian. You kind of lost me. I'm a meat man, but it actually works beautifully.
It does,
and took away the minerality of the wine. Is that actually a word?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I could have just said it softened it a little bit.
It
but,
does. Well, I think the sweetness of the pumpkin works really well with the sweet
that's
fruit.
what it is. Right.
Yeah, you got that
it just brings that out.
Yep, you got that kind of melding of the sweetness of the pumpkin, the salty feta cheese, and then you've got that kind of dark plums, that vanilla sweetness in the wine.
Yeah.
And that sort of leathery, savoury character, and they just all go together in your mouth and go boom.
I
days.
always like to try and extract an Australian Wine Weekly first. So, what's next?
What's next for us?
Yeah. If it's classified and you can't tell us.
No, not at all. We're looking to make a sparkling Blanc de Blanc out of Chardonnay. Also from the Fleuriot. We're trying to get our hands on some Grenache, just some straight Grenache from McLaren Vale, which we have made previously. It was a cracking wine, so we'd like to do some more of that.
Excellent.
And we're always on the lookout for other emerging varietals. They're not so easy to come by. There's not a lot of them planted, but we're always looking to do new and different things and to expand this range with as many emerging varietals as we can. We like to give people lots of choice and to be able to try something that perhaps they're not familiar with, they haven't had before.
Do you know what's really cool? Especially if you're watching a show like this or following your socials, is you're having a dinner party. Let's say the wife's having some friends around with their partners. You got these two wines, you know what foods are put with them, and you're educating the people that come around. They might just be Shiraz drinkers, or I don't drink red wine. Well, try this with the...
Yep.
And to me, that's what wine's all about. Always.
And so people say to me, I've been in the wine game for a long time. I've got a cellar full of nice wines, and I can more or less drink whatever I want when I want. People say, well, what's your favourite wine? I'm like, it's one I haven't had yet.
Yeah.
The next one I have that makes me go, wow.
So what is that? What do you reckon is the next thing to go boom in the emerging varietals?
Increasingly we're seeing people jump onto Montepulciano and Tempranillo. Certainly Sangiovese is becoming hot again.
Yeah. What about white-wise?
Neredavla, I think definitely Fiano.
Yeah. I love Fiano.
People are really curious about Fiano now. There's some great styles out there.
What about for the Greek boys?
For the Greek boys, Assyrtiko.
Assyrtiko.
I think it's probably going to become the most famous varietal of Greece. There's some people bringing some plantings into Australia. The Barry boys in Clare Valley are doing it. I just think that's so exciting. We're bringing these incredible varietals into Australia that haven't been here before. They're really suited to the climate. They're climate change proof, they're global warming proof because they're higher in acidity. They're more resilient grapes. They can handle the heat that we get here better, and you end up with something amazing in the glass.
All right. Well, I actually felt like I learned something, which is difficult for me, but I've had an absolute ball. Beautiful setting, great pizzas, great wines, and one of the easiest guests I've ever had on.
Thanks,
I didn't
Nathan.
have to prompt you or do anything, so any other time you'd like to come on, or if I need to fill in, we might get on the dog and bone to you and get you to come on. And when you get these new varietals, ring us up. We'd love to come back.
We'll be here. Thanks for coming,
Thanks,
Nathan.
mate.
Cheers.
60-second wine tasting. Go.
2020 Nero d'Avola, Colab and Bloom.
Who are you? Who are you?
Oh,
Kick on, quick! You got 60 seconds.
Oh, Daniel Zuzzolo, winemaker, Colab and Bloom.
So what are we doing?
So 2020 Nero d'Avola, Flurio.
Okay.
It's from a vineyard down at Currency Creek.
Okay.
So it is single vineyard.
And the look of it, light.
It's on the lighter style. So it's meant to be fresh, bright, pretty.
Yeah.
But
You're talking about me.
well, I was
Obviously not.
talking about the camera guys.
Oh, okay.
But we're trying to capture some of those traditional Sicilian characters. So we
Okay.
want the cherries, we want the spice, we want a nice bit of tannin bite at the end.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that is.
Around the mark?
Oh, that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
An
good.
absolute quality wine.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you're high